You are listening to Theoretical Insights of D&D.
Lord, give me a fireball!
Screw how hot your skin is, my bars are hotter. Let me tell you what this is. Let me tell you, you listeners, if you don't know what the zombie has packing in his decaying flesh. You shut up, cancer bones. You gonna be a zombie if that cancer doesn't get cured.
Hey guys, I'm Rob.
And I'm Eric.
And we are back with Marie from Potato Candy Network for a collaboration on a Christmas special that I'm sure will not be silly and
It'll be normal.
pretentious, and it'll be absolutely normal. Nothing stupid will be said this episode.
Okay, Rob.
So I need to go remake my entire list real quick. Hang on.
I mean, that's fair.
You did forget Die Hard. I can see that.
How did you forget Die
I
Hard?
did forget that one. Okay, so I went with the character, not the
And,
movies.
Well,
There's a method to this. He
he's
doesn't
an
show up in the
artificer.
movie.
He's got a gun.
Okay, I'll explain the list here in a second. But yeah, hello guys. I apologize for my voice. I'm still getting over a cold. As I tried not to hack up a lung.
Marie has come to us with a great idea to go through a list of monsters that kind of fit into the holiday theme, and rank them using Santas from media. You know, something like movies, TV shows, maybe even some legendary creatures that we've heard of throughout the life. You know, so while you thought you were not getting another monster list, that's exactly what you're getting. So we hope you enjoy, because that's about the only thing that TiD&D can do somewhat coherently.
Hey, to be fair, I just did a whole bunch of like monsters, so that's also been on my mind.
Hey,
so I was like, oh yeah, monsters. And then holiday one shots. You need a good Santa Claus.
This is where we
one shot
shine
somewhere.
best, when we do absolutely no research and just read, and it blows our mind.
Yeah, pretty much. And then we laugh for 30 minutes.
So, yeah, I selected the monsters by going to D&D Beyond and just looking up any monster that appears in the Arctic.
I mean, that's fair.
Yeah.
Then that was a list. But yeah, like Rob said, these are Santa Clauses from media. Because you guys have been doing your celebrity list, so I figured that was a good option to, pull the most famous celebrity
I'm
from
surprised we
the
haven't
winter
been
holidays.
canceled yet.
Not enough big time celebrities listen to our podcast.
I mean, you got a point,
but it depends upon which one gets canceled next.
That's true.
So, give it.
We haven't gotten brave enough to put Helen Keller on there yet, but it will come.
It's coming.
It will come.
Oh. Historical figures are hard because either they're loved or hated, but also history
that's why we
changes
used
so
the
much.
Spanish Inquisition twice, because we just didn't know
You
what
never
direction to go
expected.
in.
Yeah. I just figured you'd
Yeah,
never expect
that
that
too.
second time. Well, if you want, I can start working our way through the rating list that I gave
The
y'all.
floor is yours.
All right. So as Rob said, these are Santa Clauses from media, roughly-ish. Some of them are a bit more generic, but starting with number 1, being the worst Santa Clauses. This is actually one Casie recommended. This is Santa Claus from Silent Night, Deadly Night, which I have not seen, but is a slasher movie where Santa Claus kills everyone. You could kind of sub any horror movie from Christmas into this slot, because Santa Claus killing people is bad.
They're
So I
just
figured
on
that's the
naughty
worst
list.
possible one you could get. Well, I mean, usually, but a lot of times it's just like, it's a guy in a suit who's just mad at people
Well, you
for no
say
reason.
that, but did you look into Santa's sleigh that I was telling you about through email?
I had not gonna look that
a
one up.
movie in which Bill Goldberg from the WWE plays Santa Claus.
Yes.
And
Yes.
he's actually supposed to be Santa Claus, and he turns Fran Drescher into a Christmas roast.
Okay, so it's what the new
Yeah.
Thanksgiving
Yeah,
movie
pretty
is
much.
supposed to be.
So
Yeah, so I mean, yeah, that's number 1. That's the worst Santa Claus you
Fair.
could be. Number 2 is The Grinch Before His Heart Grew, 3 Sizes Too Big. So this is not the end movie one. This is beginning, especially when you consider what Jim Carrey went through to become the Grinch.
That's fair.
I figure he would agree. Number 3 is the Mall Santa from Christmas Story. Yeah, but he also is clearly underpaid. So like I can't put him too much further down. Like he's not the best Santa Claus. He needed a break several hours ago.
Your eye out.
Let me just shove you down the slide. Number 4 is the Coca-Cola Santa, because he's the iconic Santa Claus, but he's also trying to sell you something. So adverts aren't always the best for holidays.
Yeah.
Number 5 is Santa Claus from the Rankin and Bass films, the claymation ones, Rudolph Red-Nosed Reindeer, Year Without Santa Claus. The classic Santa Claus that everyone likes, I guess. I don't remember those movies except for the claymation style.
I can see them playing in my head, but I don't remember them totally.
So these guys are going to be like the Santa from Miracle from what, 31st Street? 34th Street?
34th Street. Yeah. Yeah, the classic Santa that's not selling you something at least. Number 6
how bad
is
of a
Krampus.
Santa do you have to be able to be ranked below his arch nemesis on a list?
Here's the reason why, though. Krampus is doing a service. He is taking all the bratty kids and getting rid of them. Whereas the other Santa Clauses are just giving them coal and they're enabling behavior. I say this as someone who doesn't have kids, so this is obviously
let me
not great view, but
I got 3 kids.
they've got a mean uncle for that.
Hey, if you want them to be scared around the holidays, like if you don't behave, Krampus is going to come, put you in a sack, and eat you.
No, my daughter's worried about that stupid elf on the shelf thing. That's all she's worried. Has the elf come yet? Has the elf come yet?
Just make sure it moves around the house. But yeah, it's number 6. Number 7 is Tim Allen from The Santa Claus. I'm only ranking the first 2 movies because I've not seen anything.
I will say
past
the
that.
third movie was kind of iffy, but the play that him and Martin Short do between each other is actually pretty enjoyable.
Yeah,
just because it's Martin Short.
And the show is pretty good on Disney. It starts out pretty good. I'll say.
I haven't even watched it.
Okay. I know it was coming out, but it's like, It's like it's his kids again, but like, didn't he already have kids in the first 2 movies?
Yeah.
Timeline is weird, but yeah. Either way, the first 2 movies, at least I remember, it's like it's a fun Santa Claus. Number 8 is David Arbour's Santa Claus and Violent Night, which is not kid friendly. But if you want to watch Santa Claus beat people up,
can I loop in one more to put on the same level as David Harbour in Violent Night? Mel Gibson in
Go
Batman.
for it. Yes.
Yep.
Also the same idea.
Which finally we got Mel Gibson as Santa Claus. I mean, this has needed to happen for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
yeah.
Yep. Santa Claus who's disillusioned and gets back into the holiday spirit by killing people.
Yeah.
But they're on the naughty
totally
list.
Justified.
They're all like mafia people.
Yeah. So, and I mean, the naughty list.
Sawyer agrees.
So yeah, apparently. So you guys might argue with me on number 9 and 10 because I don't know what your views on Polar Express are, but number 9
Polar Express is one of the greatest wastes of time. I'm just kidding.
It's one of those movies. It's such a classic holiday movie. I know I regret watching it, but I still want to watch it. Sawyer.
Oh yeah.
Sawyer also agrees.
It's kind of hard.
The train on ice scene from Polar Express is the greatest cinematic masterpiece of that decade.
I get sick every time I watch that.
Wait a minute.
On 3D was
hold up. That cinematic masterpiece. Let me see what year that came out. 2004. That's an entire decade. If you want to count that as okay, if you want to go from 1994 to 2004, then okay. But if you want to go from 2000 to 2010, you are completely leaving out a whole list of movies. Like 94 to 2004, you're going to say that the train on ice is better than storming the beach in Saving Private Ryan.
Yes.
I've not seen that, so I have to agree with Eric.
It's probably one of the reasons. It's a better drift scene than any of the Fast and Furious movies, I can tell you that.
Don't watch Saving Private Ryan unless you're ready to cry for an hour afterwards.
You will.
That's every military history movie or military themed movie.
Got Tom Hanks.
Yeah, it's Tom Hanks.
Yeah. Also Tom Hanks. And then number 10 is North from Rise of the Guardians. The movie version is just basically a pirate Santa Claus. You can't beat that, and that's basically our next Friends Cleric base character.
I haven't seen it, but the pirate Santa Claus sounds pretty good.
Yeah.
It is. The movie is great. It's an Easter movie technically, but I watch it at Christmas because it's snowing, and if it's snowing, to me, it's Christmas. And the book series is also very good. It's a kids series, but yeah, it's basically pirate Santa Claus. So
there's no downside to it.
Yeah, you can't go wrong with him.
He delivers presents with a cannon.
Santa Claus list. He also has Yetis working for him instead of elves, which is great. I think he's supposed to be Russian, but
let me see what this is streaming on and add it to my list.
It is worth watching. It's fun. Has Chris Pines as Jack Frost. Who else is? I think Hugh Jackman plays Easter Bunny.
I'm all about some Hugh Jackman.
So yeah, it is a fantastic movie, and it's Alex Baldwin playing North as Santa Claus,
he does shoot
and he
somebody.
is fantastic in the
role.
Also, yeah, other actors that
you really want to put your name on this episode, Marie? Because I'm not cutting that out.
Just gonna be like redacted.
It really does.
This episode features.
It really does.
Lines.
Somebody.
Just put on the voice filter so you can't tell who I am. There are no guns in this movie. This is a kid's film. You can't
I'll
have
have
a gun
you know,
in a
my
kid's film.
7-year-old daughter loves shooting guns.
Which state are you in again?
Well, not in Texas. I would like to be in Texas.
I mean,
we are
it'd be the same out here either way.
I would have never guessed by our accents. Exactly.
What accent?
I sound normal around here.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, around here. You go 30 minutes down the road and it sounds a little different.
Yeah.
I got like 10 minutes from my house and it sounds different. I don't know what you're talking about.
And they say people from the United States have no accents.
Now that's when you have to go
They're
to New
just
England.
mad that we don't wake up in the morning and like, top of the morning, do you want some tea, governor? They just cover everybody in Europe real quick, make them mad.
That's what all
this
European
is a Christmas
people sound
special.
like.
We can get away with anything.
Happy holidays. Yeah. So based on our Santa Claus rating list, I have 6 monsters.
Well, one of them we could split.
I can't count.
Yeah, 2 of them you could.
2 of them technically you could split because I threw them as a joke, but have a couple monsters that if you're doing a holiday themed special for your game, I think these are great monsters to include because they embody the spirit of the season.
Yeah. Would you like to cover them, Marie, or?
I'll let you take it because I have to quickly bring up my app so I can actually look at the monsters as well.
I came prepared. Mine's already up.
I've got mine on my
I was not.
Hey.
If I was at home, it'd be even better because I've got 2 screens.
So going.
I have to use Casey's laptop, so my logins are messed up.
I'm familiar with. Aha! Our first monster on the list, with a brand new Santa list, is the Abominable Yeti. So he's coming off pretty strong, AC of 15 with 137 hit points, or you can take the max of 11d12 plus 66 for a max of 131, 132 plus 66 is 188. Yeah, no, 198.
Almost 200 health, yeah.
I just heard like 4 numbers. I have no idea which one's
We'll
correct.
say
It's okay.
190. We'll say 198. Fact check me, listeners. And if I'm wrong, I don't care. So, movement speed of 40 feet with a climbing speed of 40 feet. Now, he does have a +5 to perception and a +4 to stealth. Immune to cold damage, surprisingly. Has a dark vision of 60 feet with a passive perception of 15. So it's not going to be completely impossible to get by this guy without being seen or heard. But he does have a fear of fire. If the Yeti takes fire damage, it has disadvantage on attack rolls and ability checks until the end of its next turn. So it's something similar to how the trolls do with their regeneration and the Hydra with growing back a new head.
So my artificer casting heat metal on any kind of arrow tip or anything would be useful.
Yeah, as long as it's stuck in
Yeah.
and kept being hot. It also has keen smell, so the Yeti has advantage on wisdom perception checks that rely on smell.
Makes
The Yeti
sense.
has advantage on stealth checks made to hide in snowy terrain thanks to snow camouflage.
I mean, it is white fur, so
Yeah,
it kind of makes
every
sense.
time I hear Yeti or abominable snowman, for some reason, all I can think of is that first frost troll you run into when you're on your way to High Hrothgar in Skyrim. And how it's absolutely the worst fight in the entire game because you're like level 2, no health, no magic, and now there's a frost troll.
Yeah.
But the Yeti has a multi-attack in which it can use its chilling gaze and it makes 2 claw attacks. So the claw is a +11 to hit with a 5-foot reach. 2d6 plus 7 slashing damage plus 2d6 cold damage.
Yeah, and not many people get resistance to cold
damage. This is the embodiment of the husband or wife who sits at the computer a good bit and then comes and places their fingers down the back of your shirt and you kind of have to jump out of your seat to get them away from them. This is this guy's fingers times 10.
I was like, how long do you have to be at a computer
Like
for your
15
hands to
minutes
get
for
that
me.
cold?
I think I have bad circulation.
You have very bad circulation, good sir.
About to say, unless my office is that cold, my hands don't get freezing quickly enough. So
Chilling gaze. The Yeti targets one creature it can see within 30 feet of it. If the target can see the Yeti, the target must succeed on a DC 18 Constitution saving throw against this magic or take 6d6 cold damage and then be paralyzed for 1 minute unless it's immune to cold damage. Yeah, good luck with that.
see, automatically this thing jumps to at least like a Krampus or Tim Allen because this sucker is terrifying, and you don't even have to be next to it for it to
because
do damage.
it's 30 feet. 30 feet away. You're taking 66 cold damage, and if you fail to save, it's a minute of paralyzation, in which you can make the save at the end of your turns. But if the Yeti is not the only thing you're fighting, because it's only a CR9, which isn't that high, which we may have just found something to put on our CR9 list. Thanks, Marie. All of those attacks are going to be at advantage, and all of those melee hits will be criticals.
Yep.
Automatic critical hits.
So just imagine the creature from Star Wars, what is it, New Hope, where Luke gets kidnapped by the snow monster?
Yep, pretty much.
That thing. That's what you're
I was
fighting.
That's
thinking
what the picture
more.
kind of looks like too.
I like to think this guy is more like the abominable snowman from Monsters Inc.
Oh, that's so much louder all of a sudden.
I like to think this guy is is the abominable snowman from Monsters Inc. And
But
then
he's friendly.
it's just
evil.
He's got a false face. Okay, he lures you in with his yellow snow cones, claiming
he's also friendly to other monsters. To be fair,
he lures you in with his yellow snow cones, claiming that it's not yellow because of that it's lemon, and then he slices at you with his sub-zero fingers and claws.
Well, staring daggers at you.
And then if that doesn't work, he can use his cold breath with a recharge of 6, pretty much like a dragon's breath. The Yeti exhales a 30-foot cone of frigid air. Each creature in that area must succeed a DC 18 Constitution saving throw, taking 10d8 cold damage on a failed save, or half as much damage on a successful one. This guy for a CR9 is doing the same damage that you're getting from most of the young dragons.
Yeah.
Like, let me do a comparison.
Yeah, about to say it's got to be. What's the CR rating for a white dragon?
Young white dragon is, well, I gotta go on. Young white dragon is a CR6, and its cold breath is 10d8. This guy has a young white dragon's cold breath.
So your party hears there's a dragon up in the mountains, and then they find this thing.
This guy is absolutely no. I don't think I can put him up there with North.
No, yeah, I think David
because he's so violent.
At an 8.
I want to go at a 7.5.
Okay, what's between Tim Allen and David Harbour, sir?
Mrs. Santa Claus from Tim Allen's Santa Claus. She's got the death stare.
She does. She does.
She has that paralytic stare. And it's Mrs. Claus. It's Mrs. Claus,
I mean,
so it's going to be cold.
Yeah. There is a Mrs. Claus and Violent Night reference as well, so I think that works.
Yeah, I'm fine with that.
Yeah, 7.5 to 8, yeah. And there is a baby version of the Yeti, too, just called the Yeti, if you need something not quite as deadly.
Why would you not need something quite as deadly? Go ahead. Show these people who's boss.
That's fair.
And it's the Yeti.
I mean, it has everything but the cold breath.
Yeah. How is that not a monster?
And it's only challenge rating 3.
Yeah. Like I said, it's like a baby Yeti. You know, you have your Papa Yeti and you have the baby Yetis. According to Yeti folklorists, whatever their name is, cryptozoologists, Yetis migrate, and you can find this is all on like History Channel. They migrate, and so you can actually follow their tracks in mountains. So there is a family set up for them.
Yeah, I can see Papa Yeti throwing the little Yetis at the adventurers.
Papa Yeti. He's got that the 1D&D epic boon where you can throw something and then when you roll initiative you get it back.
Oh
yeah.
So he throws the gnome
bungee cord,
and then when he rolls initiative he throws the halfling.
Yes.
That's great. Now the question is my my bestiary does not include any sort of elf.
So, okay. Our next creatures are not technically creatures. They are races. You have elf and dwarf. The reason for this is if you need an actual Santa Claus, who better to be a dwarf? Because cold, so you have minors. And I just love the idea of a actual elf in D&D having to be the elf for Santa Claus. Because they're the only other race that could live long enough to match what Santa Claus can do.
And it's kind of funny because the dwarves are not really friends, so to say, with the elves. In like lore.
You know, the whole joke is it's slave labor, so it kind of works. You just have a bunch of like drow elves working for this this dwarf underneath the North Pole.
I have seen in a like kind of off subject, but still the elves. They are Santa's elves are elves from Norse mythology, from Niflheim.
Well, here's another idea for the elves in D&D terms. You were saying that elves are about the only ones that can keep up with how long Santa is going to be doing what he's doing. If we allow the elves to procreate, like have families and stuff, like what's been portrayed in the movies like Elf and stuff like that,
they will rise against us.
Well, yeah, that too. Christmas 2023, Rise of the Little People.
Just turn into Artemis Fowl. Okay.
Pretty much.
You could actually use the gnome because they live for anywhere between 350 to 500 years.
Or would
True.
you go Fae?
That's true.
Or you can keep it hilarious and have Santa be like 4.5 foot tall, and all of his elves are actually like 6.5.
Yeah.
That's what
Yeah.
my picture is. Everyone thinks he's really tall and he's not. He's super short. It's just the elves cast a really long shadow, so it looks
Yeah,
distorted
he just
when you
stands on a
actually see
box.
it. Just imagine Gimli and Legolas
God.
in Santa
Yes.
Claus and elf outfits. That's what I'm picturing. So if you want a realistic Santa Claus in
You're
your
gonna
game,
have to
that's what you
toss
have to
me.
do.
Don't tell anyone. They're gonna have to toss me.
But that's why elf and dwarf is on the list, because that's the only thing I could think for a Santa Claus elf simile.
No, seriously though, that could actually work. But here's the thing: if you use Santa Claus as a dwarf and you use the D&D elves for the elves, I think that would be about a Tim Allen, because it would be funny.
Yeah, it
If
would
you
be
wanted to
Mhm.
keep it,
hilarious.
if you wanted to keep it true to the legend of Santa Claus, and instead use gnomes and just called them elves, then I think that would probably be around the David Harbour or Tom Hanks, just because of the fact that the gnome as a racial trait get an added bonus to their intelligence, because they could possibly be labeled
Mhm.
wizards and artificers to use
Yeah,
magic and
they're
pump into
tinkerers.
these. Yeah,
Yeah, they can actually make the toys. I agree. I think with gnomes being mislabeled as
Yeah,
elves,
definitely.
it's
that would be
definitely Tom
hilarious.
Hanks.
It would be hilarious.
It's like, oh, they're elves here.
Amazon
They're not
Prime's been doing a
elves.
lot of D&D stuff with Critical Role. Why not make one of these into an animated movie, Dwarves and Gnomes?
Now we
I
move
point
on
here
to
still.
possibly the shortest stat block we're going to have: the deer.
Okay, I did find in mistyping something else. There is a white awakened moose that could also
I
fit in the
mean,
slot.
we can throw it in here.
But the reason deer is on here because we have Rudolph, so you have to
Yeah.
have something pulling a
Yeah,
sleigh.
but Rudolph was a reindeer.
They don't have reindeer in
Looks like
D&D.
we're gonna have to
They have
homebrew
deer.
something.
We have an awakened moose somewhere. That's I don't know which one it's in,
You
but
could
I'm like I can find a
take your
deer stat
deer
block.
and buff it some, because a reindeer is just a big deer.
You can't let us homebrew Rudolph though, because next thing you know, he's gonna be 20 foot tall with teeth.
All you have to do is give it the ability to cast flight out of itself at
And
will.
he's
That's all
and
ridden
you
by
have to
Mike
do.
the Wizard.
Not Mike the Wizard. With his little wizard hat.
Oh no.
Ribbit.
You guys are gonna reskin all of your characters at home now to be
Oh no!
holiday
Look,
themed, aren't
so
you?
far we have a gnome wizard riding a manticore, casting cloud kill and crop dusting everybody.
Yep.
We've got Sam Elliott on the back of a nightmare. Now we have Mike the Wizard, which is actually a green slad wearing his little wizard hat.
On
So
the back of Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer.
on the back of Rudolph.
This is the new campaign.
This is
Star riding, Rob.
oh, I'll get right to that. The
Holiday
deer
special. Go.
AC of 13 with a whopping 4 hit points, speed of 50, has a passive perception of 12, and is a challenge rating of 0. Has 1 attack.
I mean, if you're fighting
I
these
mean,
guys,
yeah.
you're in trouble.
It has 1 attack, a +2 to hit, 5-foot reach, 1d4 piercing damage. If you die to a deer in D&D, you deserve it.
I
That's why
will,
Grandma
but
got run over.
I will give this a number 10 on one condition, on one realization. It is stronger than a wizard
Oh no.
at level 1.
And that's very true.
That is true.
It could
Wizard could get
absolutely
run over
roast
by
a level 1
reindeer.
wizard.
Well, maybe.
I was gonna put it at like a 5 for the Rankin and Bass Santa Clauses because it's there. Doesn't do a whole lot, but it's there. It does its job of pulling a sleigh.
Yeah. Well, no, we have to give it more points than that, because if we're not basing it off of just the D&D stat block deer, but we're going to say yes and now it can fly, then that's at least 6 Krampus. It's at least a Krampus because of the fact that it can fly.
Yeah.
And it's going fast.
That's true.
Yeah, and it's
It
going fast
twisted
enough to
enough.
circumnavigate the globe within 12 hours.
I mean, that's just Santa Claus magic at that point. If you go with reindeer, it's a 5. Modified reindeer with flight spells, it's a 6. If you make it 20 feet tall, you're looking at probably a 10.
Oh, yeah. And if you give it teeth and the ability to swing a sword through its antlers, then you're off the charts.
Its antlers are swords.
Oh.
Just tie a bunch of knives to the antlers.
Rudolph the Red-Nosed Slaughterer. Yeah.
Rudolph the redneck reindeer.
He just walks out and ding. Yeah, I saw a couple over there in the woods the other day.
Just when you thought you were hunting it, he's hunting you.
Turn around. You should have took the shot, son.
This is what Bambi 2 should have been.
Next up, we have the Bure Hag as a stand-in for Krampus.
Oh, yeah.
Which actually kind of works if you really look at the picture that they have for the Bure Hag. So it's an AC of 17 for natural armor, hit points of 91, or you can do the max of 14d8 plus 28, and I'm not doing that math in my head. Speed of 30 feet with a flying speed of 50 feet, and it can hover through its gray staff magic. Has a +4 to wisdom saving throws, a +4 to nature, perception, and survival, and a +6 to stealth, and is immune to cold damage. Has a 60-foot range of dark vision and a passive perception of 14, so it's not even as perceptive as an abominable Yeti.
No, but I mean, to be fair, if you have kids hiding from it, it makes sense. You gotta
it does speak Auran, Common, and Giant, and it is a CR7, or if it is part of a coven, it is a CR9. So once per day, the hag can cast the spell Control Weather, requiring no material components and using charisma as the spell casting ability. Gray staff magic. The hag carries a gray staff, a magic staff. I would have never guessed that.
No,
the hag can use its flying speed only while astride the staff. If the staff is lost or destroyed, the hag must craft another, which takes a year and a day, but only a Bure hag can use a gray staff. So these are the literal witches that rides their brooms around.
Yeah, pretty much. And it makes sense, too. If you break the staff, it has to wait a year for it to come
and
back.
So,
Chris,
so what you're saying is Krampus went to Hogwarts.
I mean...
said Voldemort did as well, so... Everyone went to Hogwarts at this
Ice
point.
Walk. The hag can move across and climb icy surfaces without needing to make an ability check. And 3 composed of ice or snow doesn't cost the hag extra movement. And 3 composed. What?
Terrain.
The typo.
Which app are you? What? Mine says it.
No,
difficult terrain.
This is like a D&D 5e bestiary app. It says, and 3 composed of ice. Okay. And terrain composed of ice or snow doesn't cost the hag extra movement. Thank you, Marie. Oh, it actually says extra moment. So.
Now, mine does say extra moment.
Okay. Oh, yeah, the same here. That's a typo across the board. But yeah, this. If you remember the Krampus movie, where the grandma is like, "Oh, Krampus came when I was a little girl," and Krampus shows up to terrorize the family because they forgot the joy of Christmas. All of these abilities fit within that movie.
And
it gets worse.
It has innate spell casting, so at will it knows hold person, and once per day for each of these spells, it can cast Cone of Cold, Ice Storm, and Wall of Ice. All very powerful spells.
Yeah,
like, that's kind of scary. It also has a multi-attack. It makes 2 slam attacks or a frost shard attack. The slam is a +4 to hit, 2d8 plus 1 bludgeoning damage, plus 4d8 cold damage. The frost shard is a ranged spell attack, +6 to hit, 60-foot range, 6d8 plus 3 cold damage, and the target speed is reduced by 10 feet until the start of the hag's next turn. So it's pretty much the same as a really high level Ray of Frost.
Mm-hmm. That's a
Yeah,
was
good
it's a
gonna say
range
really
like
good
though
ice
on
range.
that.
But here's the scary part. It says the hag makes 2 slam or frost shard attacks. That means it can do the frost shard twice.
Mm-hmm.
That's 12d8
Mhm.
plus 6.
So
No,
splitting up will not help you.
not in the least. And horrific feast. That's a long one. The hag feeds on the corpse of one enemy within reach that died within the past minute. Each creature of the hag's choice that is within 60 feet and able to see the feeding must succeed on a DC 15 wisdom saving throw or be frightened of the hag for 1 minute. While frightened in this way, the creature is incapacitated, can't understand what others say, can't read, and speaks only in gibberish. The creature can repeat the saving throw at the end of each of its turns, ending the effect on itself on a success. If a creature's saving throw is successful or the effect ends on it, the creature is immune to the hag's horrific feast for the next 24 hours.
Yeah, I just love that it says specifically in there they have to speak gibberish. So if someone runs around the corner just muttering and screaming gibberish at you, and then you walk around the corner and you see a hag just
Yeah.
eating someone. I'm like, this is
That's,
Krampus.
honestly, that may be the most terrifying hag. I always thought it was the night hag because night hag's freaky, but the beer hag is something else.
Mm-hmm.
This the beer. I always told Eric hags have a special place in my heart because of the fact that it was one of the biggest fights in my first campaign. It was really good, so it's a Tom Hanks Polar Express.
See, for me, this one is a North. Primarily because in the lore, it says they're attracted to selfish actions, which is the epitome of
So it's
anti-Christmas
Krampus.
spirit.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm. This is basically Krampus,
yeah, you're
just
right
without
on
the
it.
horns. But you could give it a hat if you wanted
Yeah.
to, and it would still be terrifying. Have them show up with a couple of minions.
Ooh.
It's like you could get some
Yeah.
evil satyrs in
Easily.
here. So yeah, for me, this is a
That could
10. This
turn
is a North.
into a Christmas one shot easily.
Oh, very easily.
Mm-hmm.
Oh wow, we might have to do something, Eric.
There you go. You have a new hag.
Get to
next
riding.
up, next up, we have the ice method. AC of 11, 21 hit points, 30-foot movement speed, and a 30-foot flying speed. A perception of +2 with a stealth of +3. If I got English halfway decent. Damage immunity to cold and poison, and vulnerable to bludgeoning and fire. And it is also immune to being poisoned. Has a dark vision of 60 feet and a passive perception of 12. And it speaks Aquan and Orin. And it is a CR half. Death Burst. When the mephit dies, it explodes in a burst of jagged ice. Each creature within 5 feet of it must make a DC 10 dexterity saving throw, taking 1d8 slashing damage on a failed save or half as much on a successful one. Realistically, that's not that bad.
No, but if you have a bunch of these on battlefield with that North
Yeah.
hag, they're just a nuisance, and the false appearance is the
Yeah,
main issue
when
with
they
them.
remain motionless, they look like a regular shard of ice.
Mm-hmm. So they could just be a bunch of icicles on your house, and you walk past, and suddenly one of them flies
Well, what
at
doesn't
you.
help is that they can innately cast fog cloud. So not only then can they be an icicle hanging from your house, but now they make it foggy and you can't see them flying down at you.
Mm-hmm.
It only has one attack per action. The claw is a +3 to hit, 5-foot reach, deals 1d4 plus 1 slashing damage, plus 1d4 cold damage. Has cold hands and fingers, not quite as cold as the Yeti. and a frost breath with a recharge of 6. The method exhales a 15-foot cone of cold air. Each creature in that area must succeed on a DC 10 dexterity saving throw, taking 2d4 cold damage on a failed save, or half as much on a successful.
Yeah. Whenever I first saw these guys, my thought was, oh, this is Jack
Oh,
Frost.
guaranteed.
Because it's annoying,
Yeah.
but it's not really
Well, here's
deadly.
another thing: is you put it perfectly. Is that if you put, say, 6 of these with the beer hag, then that fight takes a completely different turn.
Mm-hmm.
Because now you have a beer hag
Mhm.
that's doing all the hag stuff, and now you got these guys roaming around or even hiding for half the fight as an icicle, and now they're coming down and death bursting next to everybody for an extra D8 of damage. That could be kind of deadly.
Yeah. I think on their own for me, these guys are a 5. With if they use them as a minion, they go up to a
Yeah,
7.
if we're talking about a single ice method, I would agree that it's a 5. If it's used as maybe a minion for the beer hag, then a 7. But if it's for some reason they're a minion for the abominable yeti, they are a 9.
But you're never gonna see just one. It's like a can of Pringles. You can never have just one.
Mm-hmm. I will say it is a great monster for low level party though. If
Yeah.
you wanted to have just one or
Yeah,
two.
that's what all the methods just about fill that role so well. The ice,
Mm-hmm.
the
The
mud,
mud, I
fire.
can't remember all of them.
Yep.
There's what 5, 6 of them.
Yeah, there's a few of them.
Mm-hmm. Because it's a great flying nuisance that can fit any environment, and if you make it a minion,
Mhm.
it just adds to a fight.
And they're easy to use too because there's not a lot going on with them. So if you're a newer DM and you're wanting to run something that has to do with a frozen wasteland, this is like the perfect monster to really start playing around with as a generally
Mm-hmm.
recurring encounter. And
Yeah.
finally, we have the Snow Golem, AC of 8 and 39 hit points, or you can do the max of 68 plus 12. It is immune to cold, poison, bludgeoning, piercing, and slashing from non-magical attacks, vulnerable to fire, and is immune to charmed, exhaustion, paralyzed, frightened, petrified, and poisoned. Has blind sight of 60 feet and blind beyond that point, with a passive perception of 8. I'm kind of surprised to see that his perception is still 8 when it's blind.
Oh, it's blindsight.
A CR rating of 3. Cold absorption. Whenever the golem is subjected to cold damage, it takes no damage and instead regains a number of hit points equal to the cold damage dealt.
Makes sense.
Immutable form. That kind of reminds me of, what was it, the Flux Charger? Or it was one of the
The one that gets hit by electricity and regains
no,
health.
the one that gets hit by fire and gets bigger and bigger until it finally
Oh yeah, yeah,
explodes.
yeah. I
And
know
goes
what
back
you're
to a
talking
medium size.
about. Yeah, I can't remember the name of it.
Immutable
Yeah.
form.
Oh,
Yeah.
is it
Yes,
an
it was
elemental, I guess? Gotcha.
gosh, it was the CR 4 or 5 list. I want to say it was on Demogorgons and Jimmy Buffett. Yeah. Immutable form. The golem is immune to any spell or effect that would alter its form. Melt. While in an area of extreme heat, the golem loses 1d6 hit points at the start of each of its turns. Easy thing to do, surrounded in a wall of fire. An unusual nature. The golem doesn't require air, food, drink, or sleep. Bless you. The golem makes 3. Wow. Okay. This guy, he got a little harder all of a sudden.
Like, oh, it's just a snow
Oh.
man. It's
Oh,
fine.
wow. The golem makes 3 melee attacks, plus 4 to hit, 5-foot reach, 1d6 plus 2, plus 2d6 cold damage. That's
It's a lot more cold damage
Yeah.
than
Bill
you
Swift
expect.
here. That's a lot of damage. For a CR3, that's a lot of
That is
damage.
a lot of damage.
3d6 plus 6 and 6d6 cold damage if you target the same creature. A snowball with a +0 to hit, so roll well. Range of 60 with 2d6 plus 2 cold damage.
Yeah, so this is
That's a
basically
big
Frosty
snowball.
Snowman.
I'll be completely honest. This guy sucked all the way up until that multi-attack came on. And this is not the first time that we've run into this.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of these that we've run through with the monster list that we've been doing for the past little bit. It's like, wow, this guy kind of really stinks. And then you read the last thing they can do, and it's like, oh, this dude is definitely a Jimmy Buffett.
There it is. That's the trick.
That's the redeeming factor.
Yep. See, for me, this is the David Arbor. Because it seems so like, oh, you can kill it just fire damage, right?
Spanish Inquisition.
But the more cold damage you stack up, yeah, pretty much. Like, you don't expect it to just be able to wallop on you a couple of times.
Yeah, I'd have to go with a number 8.
Oh, man.
And if you've got someone who accidentally does cold damage to it, or if it's with someone like a brew hag that can do cold damage in an area, it heals.
A couple of these with a brew hag. Oh, jeez. You'll never get rid of them.
Basically, you just have the snow golems outside and maintaining a fort. You have the mephits who are just an annoyance as you're trying to get in to kill
You
Krampus.
would have to have a wizard or somebody cast Fireball if all these snow golems got grouped up in a bunch. Because if not, the hag can just bring them back up to full health.
Yep. And then if you have one that's an awakened snowman, so make one of them sentient so they can be organized.
Papa Snowman.
Oh, man. You could turn it into a whole thing, too. Frosty the Snowman was throwing hands that day.
Nah.
What is it? Jack Frost with the serial killer that leaves the snowman head everywhere?
Yes.
Your party is in a tavern, and they just hear about Frosty the Snowman coming down the street, and they look out, it's a bunch of snow golems.
This has ruined my view.
Just a slow,
this has ruined my view of the classic movie Jack Frost, where Michael Keaton dies and inhabits a snowman to comfort his son. It's such a good movie, though. It's so many memories.
So good, I've only watched half of it once.
Yeah.
Obviously, it's that good. So, hey, nothing was below the ranking past Santa Claus, at least.
I'll be honest, I think in the entire time we've been ranking monsters on a list, there was only one that we ranked at 1.
Yeah, I think we had one at 1, and then there's been a couple under 5.
What was that? Oh, it was the Oni. I put the Oni at number 1.
I love Onis.
Oh,
they're
if
so
you
good.
haven't heard my reason why, buckle in.
I remember the episode. I disagree with you, but I'll let you be wrong.
Well, I mean,
they're not great in combat, but they are great in story because they can be anyone and can be anywhere.
But it was anyone, and it was somewhere, and then it just immediately got wiped. And I was like, oh my gosh. Maybe I should have thrown in 3 more.
So that one was a Silent Night, Deadly Night Santa Claus.
But thank you for joining us for a Christmas holiday end of the year special.
Thank you for having me. Thank you for letting me create a Santa Claus ranking.
At some point,
now I have to use this to rank movies.
At some point, we'll have to have you on for one of our regular monster reviews because it gets a lot more chaotic.
I listened to them. I can tell.
Recording at like 1:00 in the morning.
Yeah.
Usually, about 4 monsters in, I can tell one of y'all has just had an energy drink and the other one has not.
Eric's usually the one with the energy drink.
Yeah.
But then we hit the water weird and I lose it.
Or the green slide.
I do have to say, in I think it's 4th edition, the water weird is an entirely different monster, but it's a really cool one.
I think we did we ran across it whenever we were looking up water weirds and stuff. So we may have to look it up and cover it and maybe just kind of do some home brewing and put it at a different CR level. Because we're about to start. We're recording CR9 soon, and we still got a long way to go.
Okay.
Yeah, we got a while to go.
Now, so you've got at least like another 10 rankings to get to before you really get
Yeah.
the big
No,
dragons.
We've run into a couple of youngs so far. But good news, something that everybody, well, I say everybody, like at least 4 people have been waiting on for like 4 months. Today we are recording the review episode for the Power Game Tournament characters.
Yep.
And then by the
Woo!
beginning of the year, we should have that episode written and recorded, and it'll be released sometime in probably January, maybe February.
Mm-hmm.
So vengeance will be
Vengeance
had
will
for that
be had.
episode.
Maybe.
Because it's going into a lot more detail than the last one did. So it's, TD6 level of bad voice acting and sound effects, and it'll ruin my life for a
Oh,
couple of
no.
weeks, and then I'll get over it.
I'm now regretting the character in the Sin 10, and I'm so
Okay.
sorry.
I'm bringing a couple myself that aren't very good.
I've got
Hey, I like my characters, but I'm now imagining the voices you're going to have to do. It's like, oh, this will be fun.
we'll see. Rob will have to do all the voices because I've got one voice.
Same. Oh, I have 3 voices. I have my normal voice, my very high feminine voice, and then really deep raspy, which I can't do because I'm
Now I can
going to die coughing. But
I can
I have
do a
3
deep
voices.
kind of
That's it.
demonic, but it only in short bursts.
See, Casie can do everything, so I just make him do voices.
I can do voices okay, but the problem is when I start doing accents, my southern side starts showing through.
Get that Scottish Southern accent.
For anybody to listen to the Dreadful Six, that Scottish accent could have been so much better.
As soon as Casie started listening to it, he started dying of
Yeah.
laughter. And I felt so bad, but at the same time, I'm like, yep, Southerns.
Yep.
We can't do anything else.
Okay.
It's 90 degrees in December, and we sound one
I got
way, and that's
one
it.
phrase I can do is, right, we're doing it then. And that's it.
I mean, that's
It
something.
works.
I don't know. Casey's done a South African accent before, I think, for a character. I don't know which one, though. But that was only because we had a professor at college who's from South Africa.
I made the
so he
mistake of
based it
having
on
one of the
that.
characters that was a boat builder or a wood carver in my campaign be Australian one day, and I tried it, and the next thing you know, they loved it, and I was like, "Oh, good day, mate. How you doing? Yeah, we can get right down into there. I can do that
Yeah.
okay."
You just gotta sound like
this
you're
is
drunk
why
British.
all
It's
my
fine.
Drunk British
characters-
criminals.
This is why all my characters so far have had a
Mhm.
really deep voice and a really bad southern drawl.
It works. Well, thank you again for
Yes,
having me.
and we
Happy
hope
holidays.
to get you and Casie both on soon in the future.
Yeah, we're gonna have to do a
Yep.
bigger
More-
monster list.
No one's dying.
More insanity.
Yes.
Yeah, we
Bigger monster
Yeah.
list or more
we're-
coffee later.
we ought to have y'all on for a monster list and just turn it into a party.
I mean, it'll be a
We'll
party as soon as we
invite
hop
Mike
on.
the
I don't know what you're
Wizard
talking
and-
about.
Mike the Wizard. Oh,
I have a bard character I
That
can bring
will
on.
work.
It's fine.
Mike the Green Slab Wizard carrying the water weird in a bucket.
I have a gnome
can't
bard that I
believe he
can
got
bring
stuck
back.
in
It's
that
okay.
puddle.
I got lost.
I lost. Oh man, I can't. We can't record at 1 in the morning anymore because of that. You have any idea how many people probably stopped listening because of that? Because our viewership went afterwards.
I mean, you can or you shouldn't. That's
Yeah.
the question.
Fair. But thank you, and in the meantime, keep rolling high. Go to PotatoCandyNetwork.com and check out Casie and Marie and everything they've been doing. They're in a hiatus like us right now, but
Yeah.
there are
Holidays.
episodes from the past where she has been covering a select few monsters on her blank monster. There are blank scenarios in which they go into a scenario and just build it from the ground up from a crazy idea that somebody had. And
I mean, someone had the idea of like, Guy Fieri, but a fae.
Yeah.
It works.
And there's also Dreadful Tales, in which Casie is doing an absolutely wonderful job of storytelling, and Marie is doing her best to keep up sometimes. But they do tell a wonderful story, and it's really entertaining to listen to. So during this break, take your time to go over to Potato Candy Network and give them a listen and a follow. And until we meet again, keep rolling high. We'll see you in the next one.
Happy New Year.